All right, so we are live on Facebook and YouTube. Got a first show of the day. We got 3 shows today. 3 beloved brothers coming on today. All 3 of them we have never sat down with. In fact, the last show is a couple. Welcome Rhonda to the Zoom room. All right, I'm going to put on the intro so we can allow people time to come in. Then we're going to sit down and talk to our new friend Garret. Good afternoon, everybody. How's it going? First show of the day. We got 3 shows today. We've got Garrett's on right now. I'm fixing to read a little bio about him. And we have a brilliant sculptor, John Soderberg, coming on at 4 in 2 hours from now. And then we got a dynamic couple, David and Kim Martin, coming on at 6 p.m. Eastern. But right now we got Garret. And after a divine intervention healing 5 years ago, Garret began studying, watching videos, and reading books on others who had miraculous healing experiences like his. This led Garret to discover, through his ongoing healing work, that he had the ability to help himself and others in creating life-saving changes in the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level through transformational energy healing. Over the years, Garret has introduced several modalities to his heart-focused work: alternative energy medicine therapy, Akashic soul reading, QHHT, bioenergy clearing and attunement, forensic healing, access consciousness bars facilitator, BQH, beyond quantum healing, light language attunements and upgrades through galactic mandala, light code art, and vocal expression. This is going to be interesting. Garret has worked with clients from all over the world, assisting them in connecting to their divine energy and self-healing. This work has allowed clients to rebalance, attune, and upgrade their energy system at the physical, mental, emotional, energy field, and dimensional levels. He's helped hundreds of individuals find their healing within themselves, which allows them to transform their health, everyday life, as well as their life purpose and path. Garrett's is here in this now experience to create and transform his heart-focused work in helping others find healing, as well as to help light the paths of those who may need assistance in finding and owning their divine and personal power. Sounds like Soulgy to me. So big props to Garret for the work that he's doing. Let's get him up here and have a conversation and get to know him a little bit. As soon as I can pull my head out, we'll get it there. All right, here we go. Okay. All right. Start video. Unmute. Hey, Garret.
Hey, Todd. How are you, man?
What's happening? What's going on? What's going?
I'm just in the flow here today.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I started a fast today, which I've only done once before for 3 days. But the communication came in from Morgan and I a couple nights ago. The body's changing a lot, and we were told, you can make it a little bit easier if you start listening to the body, and the body was saying you need to fast. So this
Absolutely.
is where we're at.
Yeah, I've tried to do a couple fasts myself. I think I've gone one day,
Mm.
and but you know, they say it's good. It regenerates everything,
Yeah. Yeah. I
opens you
think
up.
there's plenty of proof out there that it's a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's quite a story. I guess 5 years would take you back to about 2015. What I usually ask people, what was your wake up experience? But it sounds like 2015 was your wake up experience. You had a
Yeah, that was
miraculous,
yeah.
yeah.
That's what I thought. Well, at the time, I didn't realize that that's what it was. But yeah, I spent 15 years abusing my body with drug, and the choice of drug was meth.
Mm,
Um, it got to a point in my life where I was literally on my deathbed, kidney failure, kidney problems, you name it. And I got to a point where my lungs were so filled with fluid. Um, and before that time, I had been asking for help, God source. I wasn't into any of it. I wasn't into source. I didn't know anything about spirituality or anything. And in that time of crisis, when I became very ill, I just had that down to your knees,
yeah.
help me. And I don't, whoever's out there, just help me. And it got to the point where I ended up in bed. And after a couple of days of laying there, this was about a 2 week span, I woke up one day and literally I had no symptoms, no withdrawal symptoms. It was like the drugs had never even been a part of my life. It was like just blank. It's like I moved. Now I just know that I moved into some other dimensional space.
Wow.
And all of a sudden it was just this, what's going on here? And then my sister was a Reiki master at the time. So she said, I told her everything. She said, let me help you through this. Let me help you get your body back in shape and everything else. So that one thing led to another. And all of a sudden I started seeing all these changes. And then I was like, okay, wow, this Reiki stuff really works. So I jumped in, became a Reiki master, started doing the work. And that was just a continual process. And in that process, I found A Course in Miracles. And then that's when I had my next awakening. 6 months into the course, I was walking outside from where I was working. And I was just like, I felt like I was in another dimension. Something shifted. There was a huge shift. And that's when I was like, whoa, okay. And everything else trickled down from there. Everything lined up. My guys are lining everything up for me. And I got more and more into it. And I just started doing this work full time last year. I left my job, which was, I felt like another divine intervention. Walked up to a tree one day. I was heading into work. And this was after putting out there this word of freedom. I choose freedom. I choose freedom. Walked into work one day, and my boss just said, we're going to let you go today. And I was like, yes.
What a blessing.
Blessing. I was so happy and just elated. And I had moved through all that process of fear. What am I going to do? All that before I even went into that space of I choose freedom.
Yeah.
And everything has expanded from there.
Yeah. It's amazing to hear stories like this. Like a lot of people, um, conspiracy, disclosure issues and topics, kind of woke me up or was part of my wake up. I wouldn't say it woke me up because mine was similar to yours. But you look at that stuff and it's even still going out there today. And you look at the realm of possibilities from secret space to, breakaway civilizations, to inner Earth, to multiple ET races, and all the things that makes it up. And, I still look at the stuff every now and then. I just do it just to kind of feed my field so I can then further decipher and discern. It's something intuitive. But I look at these stories and I think, they ain't got shit on us. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. So you hit that point where so many of us, if not all of us, did more than once. And you just said, I can't go any further. I need help. and asking and it will be given. And so that's your first one. Then a few months later, so the first one, you just woke up
It was
literally.
just, yeah, I literally
Yeah.
was just, I didn't realize it was a wake up call because I was so entrenched in the drug scene.
Hmm.
And, I was literally a walking meth addict.
Yeah.
I had just functioned every day, and I was an art director for a publishing firm, and I was putting out 7 magazines a day and
Yeah.
everything else. So I was functioning properly, but my body was feeling the effects of it. And it was at that point where it was like, boom, and just dropped me. And then after that, I was so ill. I almost was thinking about leaving my job because I was so ill.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then
That's a
after,
powerful drug. I mean, a lot of people don't know
yeah,
the Nazis used meth on their guards in the concentration camps because it numbs you. It
yeah,
numbs you to and I've done it, and I had my bouts with it. Probably not nearly as deep as you did, but you're not even you're not even you. You're like people talk about out of body, but you're not even in control of your body. It's a very strange
absolutely.
kind of thing. So then 6 months later, this happens, and you start getting into the Reiki and all that. Now you talked about the research and the studying, the videos, and so on, and how much of this not that there's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious, how much of this stuff are you pulling down directly, uh, from infinite intelligence? I guess ultimately it all is, but do you download any of this stuff, or are you just kind of remixing everything that you're taking into your own stamp?
Yeah, well, when I first started doing the research and stuff, I didn't know what the hell I was looking for. I didn't, I was just looking for people who have recoveries like this, and there were some out there, but you know, when I look back at everything, I was being guided to all of this information. It was
Yeah.
being flowed to me, and I didn't realize it at the time. Like in this point today, I can say, "Holy shit, man! I was so blessed and guided through all of this, and not really realizing what I was doing." Um, but then, as time moved on, and I started moving through my experience, I started receiving all of these synchronicities,
Yeah.
and all of this information started coming in. And like today, it's like when I do my work, like when I'm working in the Akashic records now, when I first started Akashic records, I was at that point, I was in the beginning, I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. If I'm doing this right, am I receiving the right information? But now when I'm in a reading, let me tell you, Todd, this information just comes like
Right.
when somebody asks me a question in the records, you know, it's like it is a complete knowing. It's like I have done this before. All the information is just stored,
Yeah.
and it's now just coming to the surface. And even more so in this time space, it's really kind of exploding for me, and I'm
Yeah.
really amazing.
Yeah. Something's going on. Something's happening this year.
Yeah.
uh and I just want to point out to everybody, and I want to get into this with you a little bit, but things have obviously have accelerated in all across the board, but these things have been happening. I've got a friend that lives in Canada, a beautiful sister that I met years ago when I came off the streets and I started Sology. She was an intravenous heroin addict, and she had the same type of experience you did. Literally from, I mean, anyone that knows anyone that's or anything about heroin addiction, I have other friends that kicked it, but I mean, it's not a pretty thing. It can take 2, 3, 4 months. And she did the same thing you did. She got up and boom. Now she says that she pretty clearly understands that she has had what they call a walk-in, like a higher version of herself stepped in. Do you resonate with that at all? Do you feel like
Well,
you're the same?
I have energy moving through me right now when you say that. But what I'm experienced is through my dreams, because I have dreams of myself still doing the drug.
Mm,
And I always ask my guides, what's going on here? And what I'm being told is that it's another aspect of me
yeah.
playing out that experience. So, Todd, when you say that, I felt as though I had an aspect walk in, something walked in and
Yeah.
said, okay, you're done. We're going to move forward here. And boom, because when I woke up, when I got out of this, there was no withdrawals. And let me tell you, I've tried many times to get off of it, and the
Yeah.
withdrawal from that drug is like, whew,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
that resonates. And now I got energy moving through me.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
because I'm thinking about a couple of episodes, and that makes a lot of sense. Now, the one thing that's always intrigued me about this incarnation for all of us is why are we in understanding and believing, anyway, this is just my opinion, but that we do have other aspects living out different, different, paths, be they the human incarnation or otherwise. But it's always intrigued me because why are we so conscious here? Why is it on this timeline or this evolving timeline? And I find it quite amazing because we spend so much time being conditioned and beating the hell out of ourselves and feeling small, that this to me would be how the universe works. Everything's upside down. I mean, we're actually may seem very dense, physical, corporal, but this is, I think we're actually, what the religious, folk might say, the living word, the living God, the living goddess. I mean, so these stories are quite amazing, and I'm going to do everything I can until the day I leave this incarnation to keep putting this kind of information out there. Now,
Absolutely.
you have quite a toolbox of things that you do. You mentioned Akashic record reads. You also mentioned QHHT and then beyond QHT. Which ones are your go-tos, or do you pretty much use them all?
Well, here's the thing. You know what? I love the Akashic records, because in what I do in the Akashic records is I do what is called a soul profile. So I'm allowing the human aspect to see themselves at soul level, which enables me to have them see their soul group, who their soul group family is,
Hmm.
their soul specializations, how many Earth incarnations they've had, what themed lesson in the records. The lessons that we experience. They call them themes within the records.
Yeah,
Um, and then I look for influences within the records. If there's any contracts that are still incompleted in past lives, any karma residuals that are in there. So it helps the person to be able to see themselves at a soul level versus the human level. So it kind
yeah,
of gives them an expansion. And there's a realignment that happens and a clearing that happens that we do within the record. So and the QHHT, the past life regression, that just kind of fell into place. Everything I'm doing kind of just lined up with itself.
right.
But I find myself when I'm doing my sessions is that I use all of them at one time now. There's
Yeah,
no like one specific. Somebody may want to come in and they want to do a past life regression, then we do that. It's beautiful. But I find myself with doing this work, I expand in all of it. So in one session, you could have a past life regression or a Akashic session, a forensic
yeah.
healing, all of the above.
Yeah, and and I've heard, and I've mentioned this before, but since like I said, the last 3 months of last year, and throughout this year, many of the people that have come on here that are energy practitioners have pretty much said the same thing. A lot of them have been doing it a long time. They drop modalities,
Mhm.
but the ultimate common denominator is two things. One is that they've kind of remixed everything they have, and two, that it just depends on who walks in the door. They don't know what they're going to do. They don't have a certain template, but they make it up. They know it intuitively based on the person who walks in the door. So I think that's pretty much you're saying pretty much the
Yeah,
same thing.
exactly. It's definitely intuitive, because everybody comes in with something different. A
Keep
lot of
going. I got
people.
to turn this air conditioner off.
Okay, yeah. No, a lot of people will come in with, they'll come in with physical conditions, and then the physical conditions, are connected to a mental emotional challenge that they experience, past life, current past life, and we just move through it. So it's definitely intuitively done, especially now. And it's like me, I'm not into the titles and stuff,
Yeah,
but the human aspect, they are like, what do you do? And you have to, if you say Reiki, many times they're like, oh, okay, Reiki, I know what Reiki is. So it kind of helps. But yeah, so I am merging, everything's merging together. So I want to
yeah.
do something like an advanced energy session where it's just all encompassing.
Right on.
Yeah.
We've done I don't know the exact number, but I know we'll hit 2,000 end of next month.
Wow.
sometime next month. So it's 1900 plus episodes. And we've had a lot of different practitioners on here. Now I know QHHT takes you're taking someone into basically a hypnosis state or relaxed state, delta state or whatever. When it comes to the Akashic reading that you do, and I've talked to enough people to realize they don't all kind of do it the same way,
Mhm.
but do you put the person into a delta state or a hypnotic state or just simple relaxation?
No, see what I do with these readings is I have specific, for me within the records, I have to ask specific questions.
Mm,
That's how it works for me. I have to be very specific with my questions. So I have a series of questions that I ask for this specific reading, that the information comes through.
yeah.
The I do have them. I have two levels of the session. There's a level one, which is the soul profile, and then the second one is um, you can ask questions within the records.
Mm,
That's where when the client comes in, we open up the records, we bring in the guides, their guides, my guides. There's 3 Akashic record guides that I work with in the records,
okay.
and we sit in it. Right now, Todd, the way the energy is moving and everything, I don't need to like, go into that space and everything. Throw some,
Yeah.
I
I
don't need
got
to
you.
be in that space. So
I got you.
it automatically just, we're right there. We connect in, we
Yeah.
move into the space, and then everything flows from
Well,
there.
my friend Judith Kuzel out of South Africa, who a lot of people know her, she's been around for quite some time. She does soul readings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think after the first show, second, third show, she did one for me, she did one for Morgan, and then she kind of did one for both of us together,
Mm-hmm.
which was really interesting. And in your description of what you do with the Akashic records in terms of the first part,
Mm-hmm.
it falls in line with that. We didn't even sit in front of her. We just, pretty much, I think, just gave her our, name and our name that we were born with, and maybe the birth date. I don't know, but so she obviously has some type of channel into that space. I was wondering, and what I was saying earlier is, we've had a lot of people do little excerpts or little tidbits of what they do. I was wondering how easy or difficult is it for you to like give a little demonstration of it? And if it's not resonant, then I can totally understand that, because it might not be something you could ever do in front of a bunch of people.
For me, again, for me, when I go into that space, it's for me, it's about asking the questions.
Hmm.
So for me, that's how I line myself up with it. That's how I click in and connect to it. So, the one thing that I can tell you that has been coming through within the records for me and for everybody else is that we all need to stay in our own lane,
Yeah,
stay in our own lane, and we
yeah,
need to follow God's compass right here.
yeah, yeah,
We need to follow that compass and just stay in that space
yeah. Good
right
advice.
now, because with everything going on right now, there's so much bullshit and crap out there that it's just so difficult.
Well, we're gonna get along just fine. So but and it's not to throw rocks at anybody. I respect everybody's reality, but we don't just have and I'm just going to say it this way, we don't just have the distraction of what's going on in the low vibrational part of our multidimensionality. And I just said that I think this is also where we find our biggest pot of gold, being the human hybrid. The human is the hero, and so on. But there's a lot of distraction otherwise, and I see it even in the lightworker community. Now, Dolores Cannon, God bless her, QHHT, Allison Coe, many other people, it's really picking up. One of the things that made that kind of significant was the collective material that would be gathered by these individual sessions, in terms of forecasting things. And I've always looked at these types of things as going to a fortune teller. It might be the trajectory of that given day, but to me, it's these types of things that have kind of become a distraction as well. Like, who was I in a past life, and this and that and this and that. And I think you're very right in that everything is kind of leading us to a point of being present in this present moment, in the eternal present moment, because that's the way this thing rolls. And that's, I guess, how we break this thing open. Um, what are your thoughts on that? Do you gain a lot of collective information from the individuals that you take through QHHT or otherwise in other types of sessions? Do you pay it much attention, or do you stay focused on the individual's journey?
Well, I'll tell you, before I even do a session, I will speak with a client beforehand because I want to find out what their intention is. And if their intention is to go and just to go in, I need to know this and my past life, and somebody told me this, and I have a contract against me and everything. I sometimes will say, okay, and I'll explain to them, this may not be where you want to go. This may not be the avenue. And I'll turn down clients because it doesn't resonate with me because I feel like
Good.
they're in that space of they're trying to seek something that is already within them.
Yeah.
But there are a few, there have been quite a few sessions where information has come through. And one gentleman that I did, and usually men are the hardest to move through because they're so right-brained, they're so and when he started, we have an induction that we do at the beginning, and I wasn't even halfway through the induction, and he was already off on this planet creating technology. And he was explaining this technology, and I was like, I'm trying to, like, you have to kind of guide them through it. So I'm trying to guide him through and understand what he's saying, but his words were so out there that I was like, oh my God, get me through this. Okay, my guides, come in and help me with this one. But he brought in a lot of information technology. I recorded everything else.
Wow.
But there are some that will go into the session and they will bring information forward. But what happens at the end of the session is that they don't want to share the information.
Yeah.
That's quite a few of them.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And many of them there are just for the healing. Most of them are coming in for the healing purposes of it.
Yeah.
To find it. And what really happens is they go to that past life and all these symbols and energy and storylines and people come forward in this. And in the end, when they leave the session, everything starts to come forward. They start to see, oh my gosh, okay, I know what that was for. So basically a lot of my sessions are for that healing purpose.
Yes.
And I haven't gone into that space of, okay, let's do this for the knowledge and information, because in reality, my guides have not sent me people to be in this.
That's not your bailiwick. Anyway, that's not your piece.
I love it, but it's just, it hasn't been part of my.
Well, I mean, to me, it's kind of a distraction. It's kind of like the the whole thing with the solar flash, the event, which may or may not happen. I don't know, or maybe it happens outside the bounds of linear time. You know, our human experience, or our human way of understanding things. One thing I've always wondered about is, I know I'm really busy most of the time, and sometimes more than just a little busy in dream state. I've always wondered about that. I thought, well, wow, that's why are we going to sleep? Why do we sleep? And are we doing these things actively when we're in an awake state? But one of the reasons I'm bringing this up is because it seems like this year that the recall from dream state seems to be clearer and clearer, and almost like we're bringing a little bit more back with us in our memory banks, in our innate abilities and so on. Have you seen any type of trend in that, or any type of trend in your sessions this year? Not in the, there's going to be a solar flash, but I mean, in just the aptitude and attributes of the clients increasing, maybe, or anything else that might come up?
Well, I know personally for myself, I'm literally walking in my dream state. I'm in and receiving information and stuff. But a lot of clients, a lot of the people who are coming to me right now, their dream time, we're talking about dream time too, is a lot of their dream times are amplified. And actually, after some of these sessions, they have these profound dreams that come forward. I know myself that I'm receiving downloads and information, upgrades, attunements during sleep time. I ask for it. I just give them permission. I say, do it, go for it. but everybody's different, you know, because some people are on that path of, you know, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I've got to do this, and I'm, you know,
Yeah.
and you've got to be in that kind of spiritual mind frame. But you know, it's everybody's different, and everybody has a different experience from it. And all I do is I've been receiving beautiful response and information from the clients afterwards. But their dream times and their information and their healing process is sped up,
Yeah.
like really
Yeah.
fast, really fast.
Yeah. There's definitely something going on. You know,
Yeah,
there really is.
there's a major energy flowing right now, but it's almost like everybody, when you ask for it, it's like you literally receive it.
Yeah.
That's in
Yeah.
that space right now.
Yeah. We go through that a lot, Morgan and I, and we just went through a pretty big one about 2, 3 nights ago.
Mm.
And in the physical evidence of that, I won't get into it, but the physical evidence of it is it's overwhelmed her. I mean, it's like, I said, well, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
And I said, but that's a high class problem. She said, what's a high class problem? I said, well, that's like good stress, you know, better to have that problem than not to have the problem of not having anything. But there seems to be a part of this healing that you're talking about that's going on is also seeming there seems to be a parallel of an abundance frequency, and abundance being far beyond, of course, money and resources, but just some type of energetic abundance frequency or collection of frequencies that seems to be more available to people as they step out of the routine of the world, kind of like you did. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. I want to get into these incredible mandalas that you do. Morgan does mandalas. She's in probably 1,000 of them, and then, you know, they're really powerful, the mandalas, and I guess other types of expressions. I never really realized how powerful they were until I hooked up with Morgan, and I actually sat down and looked at them, and then I started feeling things and hearing things and such. But and we've got a bunch of them to share with everybody. But I wanted to ask you first, how do you look at your guides, your team? What do you have any inkling whatsoever? Not that we could understand it or even explain it. I'm not saying that we could or couldn't, but do you have any feel for who they are, what they are?
You know, Todd, I was in that space at one time. I need to know who they are. They need to have a name. And they basically, what they said to me is,
Yeah. Yeah.
just relax. Just relax. I have asked several times, you know, who my team is, what's going on, everything else, and all I get is,
Yeah. Isn't that
so they
funny?
don't, and that's, I'm totally fine with that, because I'm not into names. I'm not into trying to figure out. I do know that one group that is working with me that did actually tell me, the Arcturians.
Yeah.
So I do know that they are working with me when I'm doing this work, and also the other work that I'm doing. So yeah, so I'm, for me, it's just been a blessing just to be in the space with them and just allow them to come through. That way I'm not resisting, I'm not pushing
Yeah.
against, trying to force something. I'm just in that space, and it's beautiful because everything, I am the flow. I mean, it's just like everything just flows.
Yes.
There is this freedom that is here, and I'm thriving right now in this space.
Where do you live? Where do you live?
I live
Are
in
you-
Las Vegas. I live in Las Vegas.
Oh, you're in Las Vegas. Nice.
Yeah.
Not very dense over there at all. Morgan and I, we drove through there on our you know, cross country trip, and because she'd never been there,
Yeah.
and we got over there, and I don't know, we stayed somewhere a well-known place, but it was like $60. We could afford it, so we stayed there, had some dinner. I think we had a drink, and then I said, I gotta go.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, I want to go see the town. I'm like, I can't.
No.
And I was sick all night.
Yeah.
And I think I was transmuting it for her and me, or I don't know what was going on, but it's a pretty dense place. But there's a lot to be said for these folks that are like yourself, that are planted on the grid in these highly dense areas.
Yeah.
I think we're doing a lot more. These types of folks are doing a lot more than it appears.
Yeah. There's, you know, I definitely feel the denseness. And, you know, I feel like I was here for a purpose, because I've been here 17 years now.
Wow.
5 of those years have been in this awakening state. but I can see the energy and stuff. But you know what has grown here is the spiritual and healing centers have
Yeah.
grown here a lot.
Yeah.
But I can't, like, for me, I can't go down to the Las Vegas Strip. I can't even go into a casino. I go in there and all of a sudden my head begins to turn on fire.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
it's like going into hell.
Yeah, it is. It
At
really
least
is.
I've been to hell in dimension many times, and it's like, but you know, and that's interesting you say that, because I've got two friends. One, I don't think she's there anymore. I think she moved around a little bit, but both of them been on the show, and I can't quite remember the other lady's name right now, but she's actually a registered nurse, and that's what she's doing. She's that's her vision, is to build like a healing retreat center, which was the same with my other sister that lived there. So there must be something in the water over there, that as we move into this new earth vibration, that maybe they're gonna these healing centers, these retreat centers, you know, are gonna be needed in these heavily populated areas that carried a lot of density, because we know there's a lot of energy over there where you're at. You know,
Definitely.
with the you know, the natural phenomena, you know, mountains and you know, but also the military presence huge. You know, we drove by Area 51. It was quite amazing. You know, there was ships in the air, and we were feeling the energy. I mean, it's a very, very, if you're sensitive, it's got to be, and then that's got to be another thing too. Your sensitivity must be well trained by now after 17 years.
Yeah, definitely well trained. You know, it's because I can be in that, I can be in a space here, like, because I live away from the Strip. But again, you know, we're engulfed in we're in a valley, so we're enclosed. So all that energy just sits here. You know, so yeah, I'm waiting for my ET brothers and sisters to come flying down. I'm up there and doing the Stephen Greer, you know, meditation and getting in there and like, okay, and I know he's got the little sounds and stuff like that, but I sit on my back there every night now, and I'm just like, I'm tuning it in and going out and seeing the earth, and then zooming in on the states, and then where I am. And
have you seen anything in the sky?
I've seen a couple here in Las Vegas, some action, and several other places. And it always, but the places where it's more prominent is I was with a group of people. We were at a retreat in Canada, and that's where it became amplified.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm still, you know, I'm sending the love out. I
think we're going to see more and more of this. I always like to ask these practitioners, what do you do when you get triggered or you get knocked off balance? How do you get back in alignment on a personal level?
On a personal level, you know what, Todd? I have done so much inner work. That there is probably the only thing that would trigger me will be if my dog pooped on my sofa or something, you know? I've just come to that space and balance in myself where I'm able to see things. I go above the battlefield and I see everything with a new perspective.
Exactly.
So I see everything in the whole, and I see that, you know, people can't trigger. I can't be triggered by people or current events or situations and things like that. It's just not my nature anymore. It doesn't sit in my vibration. So I always say to myself, you know what? If something comes into my mindset, even if I get triggered, I just say, you know what? It doesn't hold the level of consciousness I'm right now. And it literally just kind of just floats by. It's like my ego goes, okay, whatever. All right.
Yeah.
I'm
out. It's kind of like going to the grocery store now.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just like looking at it and I'm going, okay. It's almost cartoonish. How did you get into, because I don't want to, let me make sure where I'm at. Yeah. How did you get into these mandalas? How did that happen? I'm going to put them up on the screen while you're talking about them. And if you want to talk about the particular mandala that I pull up, you're more than welcome to, but why don't you start out by letting us know, how did you come up with these incredible things? How do you construct them? You know, and do you do it with a software program? Do you do it by hand or all the above?
Yeah, they first started coming forward when I surrendered.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, freedom. This is where I'm moving to, is this freedom. So once I surrendered, all of a sudden I started getting visions at nighttime and dream time. I would get these images that would come forward, and they would be piece by piece, and I didn't know what I was supposed to do with them. Now I'm an artist. I was a graphic designer for 15 years, so it was there. But I haven't been physically drawing. So I would get these downloads, what I call downloads of information, and these images would start to come to life. And so what I would do is I would sit, and these are all hand done. So what I would sit down and do is I would begin I would draw out the image that I was seeing. And then from there, it was like everything just blossomed. It moved itself outwards.
I mean, these are crazy. I mean, I've seen a lot of mandalas, different types of things that might be similar to this. And I don't know what they call them, glyphs or something like that. Some people do with the software on the computer, but this is all hand drawn.
This is all hand done. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's got some light language in it. It's got some incredible symbolic stuff going on. Do they have specific messages? Do you use these in your healings?
When I first started, there were messages coming through. And then as I moved through this series, I stopped getting the messages. And what I was told was that these are for the transformation of the eye of the beholder. And so when somebody looks at these, there's going to be an upgrade, an upload, a download. There's going to be an attunement that is going to take place. And no color was to be used in these at all, just black and white.
Wow.
And so basically is when the person places their attention on it, the information from that moves into their energy field and allows them to receive an upgrade, attunement, whatever it is that they need at that time. Healing. Yeah. There are people who've come back to me and said, they've had complete healings done when they've looked at these.
Yeah.
So again, I don't try to place anything on it.
Yeah.
I don't want to say this is what this is. This is from the galactic ninth dimensional Arcturian, because then people get that in their heads and they're not using the information that's flowing to them from it.
Right on.
So I've stopped that.
And this is another amazing thing that's not, not mainstream enough. Let's just put it that way. Just like the stories, like your story and the people that come on the show. There's so many different things that are being put out that have no verbalization, that actually have tremendous code, alignment capabilities, healing, if you want to call it healing. But yeah, this is like some very, very unique stuff. And I've been actually looking at your stuff for quite some time, like a couple of years. Let's see another one.
Yeah, they started asking me to upload these for people to help them upload. So I'll do a live on my Facebook page. And what I have everybody do is all you need to do is breathe. And what I do is I assist them we breathe it up into the third eye. Then we take another breath. We breathe it up into the pineal gland where we upload it to the master cell inside the DNA. Then we drive the code down the power column, which is the spine, down to the 13th chakra, and then right to the iron core of Mother Earth. So we utilize this to help Mother. And then we breathe it back up into the heart space. And then the person just sits in that space for a little bit. And then from there, whatever needs to take place, it can happen instantly. It can happen 2 days, 3 days, a week, a month from then. And sometimes you'll never know the miracle that can happen from it when you do this. So yeah, so I just allow myself to just let it flow. Whatever anybody receives from it is what they're going to get.
So when you sit down to do one of these, do you have a picture in your mind, or is it more like automatic writing?
There's an initial picture that comes in. That's why I don't do these too often right now. But there's an initial picture that comes in. And then from that picture, I will go and I'll sit down and I'll just draw the picture out. And then from there, they want me just to expand my own intuition. They want me to use my own intuition in finishing it. So I add the light language scripting in it. And also the way it's situated, the angles, they've told me that it's the angles, it's the script, it's everything that in the whole.
The intricacy of the light language
Mm.
is phenomenal. I mean, it's like, how do you even fit all that in the space that you're putting it in? Not to mention the rest of it. That's quite incredible. Now, when you're writing out this light language, do you hear it or speak it?
I do speak the light language, which is something that came when I was riding on a bus one day to work, and all of a sudden I just started. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I had no idea. I had no idea what light language was, and I'm just like speaking this gibber, but it was so comforting and so calming. And then finally, some girl, texted me. She said, "I need to have a session with you. You need to have a session with me." She goes, "It's free. I need to talk to you. It's about light language." I'm like, and she didn't know. I wasn't doing these images or anything at the time. And I just said, okay. And so she sat down with me. She started going through everything and how I was attuned to this. And she began to speak some light language. And she said, okay, now I want you to go ahead and speak. And all of a sudden I just went, it just flew out of my mouth. So when I'm doing this work, I will add that into it while I'm doing it. So I add that energy into it. So again, and that's just part of what's transforming right now for me, is to be able to speak it. Sometimes I'll do a session like when I'm doing Reiki classes, and their third attunement, I find myself, I have to speak light language at the end because it gives the overall completeness of the whole, all the attunements that are given at that time.
Well, this is amazing because, hello, Yaslenny. I have to say hello to my old friend, old Soulology friend. We're gonna have to connect. But these things are like if I look at this one, I see beings. You know, I see obviously off-planet sacred geometry. I see stories, but I see multiple beings. You know, and it's not even like, it's like looking at an aura, not like a physical picture, you know, and picking up on, you know, when you look at somebody.
Right.
Yeah, this is really cool. And so when you do sessions, do you ever incorporate these into the sessions? Like you say, oh, you know what, I've got one that you need, or you just know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there'll be something, or I will draw it while I'm like, when I'm doing QHHT sessions, I'm literally like listening to the client, and I'm drawing hieroglyphs. I'm drawing information that's coming through. And my book that I use for that is just covered in them. It's connecting me. So I'll do the light language scripting, and there is a galactic connection that's happening in the session at that time. And then at the end, I'll say, okay, just want to show you what came through for you. You need to just look at it. Don't try to figure it out. Just take a look at it and I want you to breathe this in. So yeah, but I will speak the light language as well if it needs to come forward. It just kind of, like I throw it up. It just comes up.
Yeah. Now, you know, I know you're not in it. You're in it. I know you're in it for the right reasons. I know you're following your heart. But with these incredible mandalas, do you market these? Do you allow people to purchase these or even have these?
Well, here's what's I think there's one image where I have a friend of mine, Cornelius Gutso. I think it might be at the end there. There's the first one. There's
oh, you're talking about the colored one?
Yeah, he put together for me out of nowhere.
I think that
he put together a prototype.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he put together a prototype of a pendant that we're going to begin creating.
Okay.
So yes, so we're going to start moving into that phase and start doing some of that. People have asked me about T-shirts and stuff like that, but it just didn't feel right for me. But the pendant, the Mandela pendant,
this is this then.
That's it right there. Yeah.
That's the pendant.
That's the one.
Okay.
That's the prototype.
Wow. far out, man. I
Yeah.
mean, look at the detail on that
Yeah,
pig.
I was amazed. I was like, holy crap. I
What
couldn't
is
believe it.
that? What is that made out of?
Well, this material is it's like a epoxy or something like that. He did a
Okay.
3D printing of it.
Okay.
So that's just the prototype. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at making different materials, metals, out of wood,
I mean, the
different things like that.
detail is like,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
was amazed.
I'm not usually really impressed with, not that there's anything wrong with it, just isn't my deal, but this is like, what? That's like some kind of a, multiversal coin.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty neat. Yeah, I was amazed when he showed it to me. I was like, wow, because he asked me, he said, can I borrow one of your designs? I want to play around with something. I said, you can use any one of them you want. And that's the one he chose. So yeah, so I'm excited to kind of see where that kind of moves into.
The other thing about your stuff too, like this, what is going on here, man? This is like, so like the other thing about your stuff is that, it doesn't seem like it's, and maybe this is the wrong way to say it, but it doesn't seem like it's unique to one species or star family or star system. It looks like it's multi-dimensional, multi-lineage, multi-universal. I mean, I don't know. It's just like a little bit of everything in it.
Yeah, I can feel when I'm doing these, I can feel the energy, and I don't ask who it is because
Yeah.
they'll give me the shh.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't. It's like they and I feel the energy when they're there, and because it flows so beautifully, it just and it's really really relaxing for me. It's very relaxing,
Yeah.
very relaxing.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
So there, but it's definitely multidimensional. I can definitely tell you that it
yeah.
is multidimensional. And again, not putting any specific on it so that the person doesn't look at it and you know think that it has to be Arcturian or
Hmm.
Syrian or anything like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And then, I mean, there's so many, I mean, you could spend a day looking at one of these things.
Yeah.
You know, you could.
Yeah.
There's like message after message after
Mhm.
message. It's quite fascinating.
Yeah, and as you're viewing these, if everybody's viewing these, you're uploading information. So as you go through
Far
those,
out.
everybody who's watching you is and who will be watching will receive. You're going to receive upgrades, attunements, and
Yeah.
any healing that's needed. You can even place an intention on it if you want to.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Far out.
it's pretty amazing.
I think this one might be my favorite one. Just because I mean, how long did it take you to do this thing? Must have been like a week.
You know what, Todd? This is somebody on one of your shows. I was watching one of your
Mm.
shows, and somebody said that all of the pyramids have opened up and connected.
Yes. Yeah.
Somebody, I can't remember who said it, but after they said that, I got this download. And this is
Wow.
what came forward after that. So it's about the pyramids opening up and connecting at that time space.
Man, I got Kundalini running up my leg here. I'm gonna have to go put a diaper on. But and it looks like that. It actually looks like a like topography, like you're looking down from a
Yeah,
helicopter or a
exactly.
plane.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it's just like this one's lighting me up. Yeah, I think I just picked up some a new video editor. I haven't really done a whole lot of video editing for the last couple of years. I used to do a lot of it, mixing music with a little bit of narrative, just playing with different frequencies, and this type of thing, flashing on a video production, like having them flash, and having a beat or a binary heartbeat or Mongolian throat singing or just, I mean, I could see where this, because I think that's what we're doing. I
Yeah.
think we're remixing everything. I like to say we came in with the Akashic. Now we have our experience. You add those two together, and this is what we're doing. We're actually expanding the outer breath of Mother Creation through these types of remixes. I mean, this is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So I want to ask you, I want to give you the opportunity. Let me figure out what I'm doing here. Okay. So I want to give you the opportunity to do whatever you want to do. If you want to talk about something specific that you're working on, if you want to do some light language, if you want to dance, you can dance. But whatever you want to talk about, if you got anything coming up, how people can get in touch with you,
Yeah.
the floor is yours.
Well, I'll tell you what, since we just looked at those, all of those those mandalas, that light language. Let me do a little light language, all right? As
Right on.
that allow us to upgrade everything into
Right
your multi-dimensional being.
Should I put them back on and flip them while you're doing it?
Absolutely, if you'd like to.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, let me just get it set up. 1 second. Hang on. There you go. Here we go. Okay, so let me, yeah. All right, I got you.
All right, cool. All right, so you can flip through it. Okay. So I want everybody just to allow the vibration and the tone to move into your being. Don't try to fix or do anything. Just allow the vibration and the tone to move where it needs to. Bre nananoko okoe te nananoko okoe kike tu okoe whati nanana okoe kia ta okoe. Ishi nanana ukui keta I apa o ta kina ano o kike tu okoe naneki apa. Pinapatura parpatatina pakuto ora ta ki kakakato neratina pakuna in natura. Anatatina batore e akira nina mana ika shiaka. Ua, she. Whew, okay.
So it is.
And so it is.
Yeah, we're gonna, if you're open to it, we'll have to sit down and do this again. If you're open to collaborating.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, because we haven't even scratched the surface, I can tell. There's a lot of subject matter, and there's also a whole lot about you and what you do that we could get into. No doubt, man. This is very cool. And if we get out that way, I don't know that I can get Morgan to go back to Vegas, though.
I've missed you every time. Like you came into Vegas, I missed you. You were in Mount Shasta, I missed you.
Oh wow!
And it's like all these different little it'll happen when it.
Yeah, it will. It will.
But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I thank you, and thank you for allowing me to share this.
Yeah, well, we definitely need to dig deeper into some of this stuff. I'm just lit up right now. I'm gonna have to go take a walk. It seems like everybody else is too. But thank you, Garrett, and thank you for what you're doing, because you are doing it for the collective, and I know that, and you are the epitome of the I am soul, and that's what it's all about. You're not caught up in attached to those traumas that got you here, or the off-planet stuff. You're just doing what you're doing, and that's really what we need to do. And so I just want to say big props to you on that, man.
Thank you, brother.
And so we'll reach out to you if it's okay, and probably in the next day or two, and set something up a few weeks down the road or whatever.
All right, awesome.
But best to you and yours, and hopefully your dog won't poop on the carpet.
All right. Thank you, Todd.
All right. Look forward to seeing you again, man. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, everyone. All right.
Take care.